Good morning, Malaysia. This is Matthias Chang once again from Future Fast Forward. My address today will be not the same as in the previous address, focusing on the criminals, their schemes, their fraud, and what have you. Today, I want to draw your attention to the extent of our leaders in Malaysia across the entire political divide, how clueless they are on some very, very urgent issues that will impact on your lives, my life, and our children's life in the next 10 years. Clueless. And I've tried in my own way by dropping hints to various people who are involved in policy making on both sides of the divide. More so on that side of the divide that wants to have change, to get rid of the BN cabal. Have all of you put on a thin cap and ask yourself, if we effect change, what do you expect from that change? All of you have asked me many times, what can we do? We are only the rakyat. We have to look at our families, our business, our our children. We can't make sacrifices. Difficult. And it takes guts to even lift a small finger. One excuse, another after another. I'm not today asking you to make dramatic sacrifices, to be heroes on the front lines in the battlefields. Because by your vote in every election, have you not voted a wakil, a representative in the form of a member of parliament or a state assemblyman, adon, in the state government? You have, haven't you? And yet, despite the vote that you exercise, having authorized these wakils, the MPs and adons, to represent your interests, to speak on your behalf. After all, they are paid by taxpayers' money. And now that you see your 4 eyes, if you are wearing specs like me, or your pair of eyes, that they don't have the balls, the guts to speak up, except a few. What are you going to do about it? If you believe in the principle of a government of the people, by the people, and for the people. The whole bunch of MPs in Parliament, without exception, at any one time, a handful, entertains you in a debate in Parliament. The usual speakers comes up, makes some noise in Parliament, give a press conference for which even the press, the mainstream press, hardly covers. It may be covered in their party's newspaper or a press conference if and only if the issue is sensational. The headlines will increase that day's sale of the newspaper. Then it will bring out the news by those MSM reporters and journalists. Other than that, you know nothing, do you? Do you even know who's your MP? Since the last election in 2013, have you seen your MP? Have you engaged with him? Or the adons, the state assemblyman, who represent you at a state government level? You have not. So my question to all of you is like, why have you not? Since you say you don't have the guts, you can't do anything, I'm saying to you, the minimum you can do is to speak to your Adon or your MPs. But there's a big problem in Malaysia. You know why? Because we don't know there is a demarcation of responsibility between a member of parliament and Adon and town councillors. We have the theatrics, the publicity stunts of you, the Rakyat, inviting MPs to cut ribbons. You complain about locked drains, traffic jams, all these minor social issues to the MP, Member of Parliament. And they get all excited, these MPs in Parliament, making noise about traffic jam and what have you. You know? Garbage collection, pollution, what have you. But that is not the responsibility of Member of Parliament. That is the responsibility of the State Assemblyman and Town Councillors, which you have elected. Members of Parliament debate and legislate, the key word is that legislate laws and consider policies, debate about policies. Yet I can assure you, only a handful of MPs, some who are ministers or deputy ministers on the government side, and on the opposite side, those who have a keen interest in some issues because they are spokesperson of those parties. They would do some research and speak on those issues. The rest of the MPs are what I call intellectual masturbators. Even then, they do a lousy job because they are quiet in Parliament. They don't do anything. They probably wear the title YB, Yang Berhormat. Bullshit artists across the divide. They keep it paid very well, good allowances. Yet, you ask them anything about government policy, issues that impact on our future, zilk, hollow, empty. So, before I go to the content of today's address, I seek your cooperation and your favor. Because very few people realize thinking is very difficult. And you do not need to be an intellectual to think. Of course, with intellectuals, politicians who think, they're great thinkers by virtue of their stature as MP of Parliament. And of course, those intellectuals, all right, in universities, in the cloud cuckoo land and the ivory pedestal, they think they know everything. So I would like to suggest to all of you, Malaysians, go and see first and foremost your MP of Parliament, Member of Parliament. Secondly, the Adon Assemblyman. Invite them to your home or to a meeting, okay? And then hand over to him a piece of paper, blank piece of paper, and a pen. And confront him. What are his ideas, suggestions, proposals, initiative on national issues? There's the role of MPs. For your Adons, the Assemblyman, likewise, give a blank piece of paper with a pen and ask them, what are their proposals, suggestions, policies in transforming the state government in which you are a resident. I can assure you they will not be able to do anything or write up anything, and they will give you a speech on generalities. This is a state of affairs. And this comes to a very important conclusion. The so-called parliamentary democracy, the two-party system, and what have you. I'll be very blunt. Utter rubbish. Parliamentary democracy is false democracy. Oh, it is a system. I accept it. In Malaysia and in other countries, okay. But let us not have any illusion that parliamentary democracy is true democracy. Because a lot of these people belong to the vested interests in one way or another. They depend their living on the present hierarchical system, political, financial, and economics. They are beholden, bought and paid for in many ways. So often than not, you find it difficult to extract the truth out of their mouth. They are good at smooth talking, spin propaganda. But there are only a handful who are the real seekers of truth. And let me remind all of you, do not be impressed with all these YBs. And some of them have a doctorate, no? Dr. So-and-so, Datuk Sri Dr. So-and-so. I used to call them those who have PhDs, phony donkeys. MSc, master screw-ups. MBA, master bullshit artists. BSc, bloody screw-up. Of course, there are people who are good in their fields of discipline. Okay, I'm not saying they're not good, but by and large, a lot of people are weighed down by these alphabets after their name. You push them and confront them. Current issues, future issues, zilk, because they don't spend time thinking. And a lot of politicians hijack other people's ideas and arrogate to themselves that they're the fountain of wisdom and truth. But I'm not here, all right, to say who is right, who is wrong, who should take credit for whatever. I'm here to say to all of you, if you expect change, if you want change, then you must prepare to acknowledge, right, what it entails to affect change. All right? Because if you do not have the sincerity and a genuine commitment and desire for change, what you say is bullshit. And crudely, as I've said so often, please don't indulge in intellectual masturbation. So I would like to give you a quotation for you to ponder on, okay? What real change means by Buckminster Fuller. You never change things by fighting the existing reality. To change something, build a new model that makes the existing model obsolete. Please take a handphone, photograph it, and WhatsApp to people. And this man, Buckminster Fuller, is not a communist, a revolutionary, or a jihadist, or extremist. He's a very down-to-earth person. And it's about change. That means you have to fight the existing reality. The existing reality is what I described to you. A lot of con man politicians who put themselves as champions of the right yard. You push them a little bit to take a stand. they won't do it. And they give all kinds of excuses. Alright? So bear that in mind. Those words of Buckminster Fuller. Now, what I'm going to tell you now is this. Did you not recently read a newspaper that Mustafa Mohammed, the trade minister, had a dialogue with the Brit from England, telling him what is the consequences, or what are the consequences of Brexit, and warn that minister, be careful of creating ASEAN into the ASEAN Union. Just as the British now realize the danger of the European Union. Pause for a while. Huh? See, Malaysia is a copycat country on politics and on policy. When there's a change in England, they follow blindly. Likewise, when there's a change in other countries, In fact, most of our policies reflect the change of policies by any one government in UK. If it's Labour government installed, somehow or other will follow the Labour government. And when the Conservatives come into power, we follow the Conservative approach. The third way, what have you, We still wear the colonial shackles of Mother England. Okay? So now, all of you want change. You don't like Najib. You want to get rid of Najib. And you are promised that if you get rid of Najib, things will change. How do you know? How do you know for sure change will be effected? The word change is nothing in itself. Meaningless. I change my clothes every day. The weather changes. Time changes. What change are we talking about? Because, like Buckminster says, is this a change, a dramatic change of the existing reality, of the existing political structures, embedded for all these years, entrenched, if the change is not a revolutionary change. And the word revolutionary change does not mean, and that's not what Buckminster says, must be by gun or violence. It starts with a mental element change. To change the perception of the existing reality and do a new model. So, he says this, build a new model. So what model have you been shown? You might say and accuse me, Matthias, are you criticizing the opposition, Pakatan Harapan, and its leadership? You see it, I didn't say it. But as a rakyat, I demand to know my right, and don't any leaders across the political divide dare say to me or to the right and to you, we will effect change upon election. Manifestos are a full page in a newspaper, Straits Times or Star. Sometimes more than one page, with pie charts and diagrams and what have you. Do you read them? Do you read them? And if you do read them, after the election, have you confronted the MPs and the adons? What they have promised and what they have achieved? You don't. This is why I'm so sick. I'm so sick. That even at the minimum level, does not require courage or performing any drastic action, but mere performance of a legitimate action to confront your MPs, your adons. What change are they talking about? I guarantee to you, they can't tell you. They can tell you in generalities. Reformasi this, reformasi that. Change the government, less corruption. I give you this finger. There will always be corruption anywhere in the world. It's relative. Let me tell you how to stop corruption or reduce corruption. What institutions are they going to overhaul? What new models are they going to implement and discard old models? They can't tell you. They won't dare tell you. So please be careful. Huh? Don't jump from the frying pan to the fire. Yes, some people say, Matthias, you seem very impatient. You want change. You want to move fast. Time is money. What can be done one day, the politicians takes 1 week. What can be done 1 week, they take 1 month. Or it take 1 month, they take 1 year. Why? Simple. They are paid for this wayang kulit, for these theatrics. They become what I call professional politicians. You think there's urgency in them? Do you think there's urgency in them? Very simple, okay? Second test. Without exception, I'm telling you, all party politicians are focused on survival within the party, first and foremost. Second, to climb the ladder of the hierarchy of the party so that they can be selected as a candidate for a challenge in a parliamentary seat, or a challenge or re-election in a state constituency, first and foremost. Okay? And they will have this head in the same attitude. Everything else, policy, strategy, leave it to the top people. That's all. That's why in Parliament, it's a shame. The majority of people sit there and do nothing. How many MPs or adults upon the end of a session in Parliament or State Assembly come to you, the rakyat in the constituency, and explain to you what they achieved or did not achieve, what happened in the previous session in Parliament or the State Assembly? Zilk, okay? Zilk. They are giving you this finger. Trust us, MP. We are doing our job. Nah. Okay? Nah. I'm telling you this. Yes, I'm very angry because the time for courtesy, cordiality, good manners is way gone, way past. We have given too much respect already. Now it's time for blunt talking, brass tacks. They don't like it, I know. Recently, I gave a speech, right, exposing the MPs for failure to expose the simple truth about MDB. And I accused all the MPs across the divide, right, of direct, indirect cover-up. Okay? What happened? They suppressed my speech. But when the following week I said that what I said earlier, the previous week, would amount to a major impact, major strategic implication for the people, that the Prime Minister is not fit and may be disqualified. My God, that went viral. You see, they're so happy to promote that news because then that took the focus away from them. But they were not there to do the thinking. They kept quiet until it was exposed. And then they jumped on a bandwagon. These are what I call your MPs across the divide. Across the divide, understand? So now, having introduced to you the idea of change, please ask yourself, what change do you want? If you don't even know what change you want, I'm saying to you, aren't you irresponsible? You don't have to be a professor, no, or an economist, or have a degree in political science to know what change is required now and for the future. Okay? And you don't know or don't care, then don't complain in a coffee house, shop, or a home, or write to me and curse and curse and curse. This guy's a bastard. This guy's a bastard because he continued the policy of the previous bastard. But where were you? Where were you? See, the proper so-called, right, etiquette, right, in politics, right, you must not condemn, the riot, because you need their votes, see. So you must appeal to them, soothe their ego. Hey, I'm not standing for election. I don't need your votes, okay? But I can't stand and put up, right, the hypocrisy, your mental laziness, all right, and your failure to do your duty as a citizen, as a father to your children. And I will not stop hammering you on this point, because my ultimate aim is just have a cosmetic change from A to B. I've said so in many times. I spend a lot of time doing my research. I don't speak without exercising my brain. Alright? So now, I would now invite you, get your handphone ready and photograph the first of a few things which I want to share with you. Massive change in the global economic, financial and political landscapes. Are you aware of that? How prepared is Malaysia for this change? And this is not an intellectual question. This is an existential issue. And why are the eggheads, politicians clueless? For example, there was a town hall meeting by the Prime Minister and Curi, TN50, the vision for Malaysia up to 2050. TN50, top notches 50 is my reply. Soundbite, diversion and red herring. Nothing was said in that town hall meeting that even touched on superficiality of what we're going to address today. Pure intellectual masturbation. You got that? Photograph it, huh? Okay. So to illustrate how clueless, how empty and hollow, I warned people, right? Even before it happened, I opposed it. TPP, remember? Trans-Pacific Partnership. When Donald Trump was elected president, he says, TPP is dead, but our government says, no, it can be reinstated in time to come. And when TPP was revoked by a presidential executive order, Numbskull say we will reconstitute TPP in some other form by ourselves, the 12 countries. Then came Brexit. What are the implications? Mother England, our former colonial masters, for which we still send our children to study there. We still have massive trade with them. Has our government really put their heads together? Only recently, when the Masani came to Malaysia, was there a caption newspaper about this issue. Globalism, regionalism, is it dead or still have a future? Will Malaysia be scrubbed big time? Are we, or do we have in place structural adjustments to be effected within the foreseeable future? I'm telling you, zero, nothing. Okay? Why not one politician is tuning into this matrix? Why? Forget this, and think about it. I'm not even giving you a blank piece of paper. I'm already provoking you, stimulating your grey cells. Now, some Muslim extremists, the Wahhabis, they're very angry, with Donald Trump, They curse, they swear, okay? But these people are the worst. They're stupid. They let emotions govern them, but they're intellectually bankrupt. They don't even know why he was elected. You think Donald Trump can be elected to the President of the United States of America without the backing of very powerful people? Asshole Wahhabis. And these are people now, within past, and within the circles of some policy makers and peripheral, making all the noise, creating diversion. Okay. You will recall that during the campaign, he said, I will build a wall. And everybody says, right, oh my God, there's racist. There's anti-immigration. It's stupid. Whoever say that is himself an asshole. Not A-S-S-H-O-L-E, A-R-S-E-H-O-L-E. You know why? They take that concept, wall, literally, without realizing the financial, economic, and geopolitical implications of that principle, of that policy. I'll go to that later. Okay? And then he said what? For those numbskulls who don't understand, he then elaborated. There will be a border adjustment tax. So, these assholes, Wahhabis, who are now in government, and those who are now not Wahhabis but in the opposition camp, understand these issues and prepare the country. No, they're too busy fighting, who will be the next prime minister. On this side, Barisan, if Najib is removed, who will be the prime minister? If Barisan is defeated, who will be the prime minister on this side? As if it's an inheritance by right. Numbskull. So, read this. What will happen to exporting countries when America, the largest consumer market in the world, I repeat, assholes, USA be the largest consumer market in the world, where every other country, including China, India, must export to survive. What happened to all these exporting countries, including Malaysia? We be the 17th largest trading partner when the border tax is implemented. The border adjustment tax, for example, do you know what it means? Have any one of you in government or in opposition leadership research it and anticipate the implication which will be following soon in this year and full impact in 2018? Clueless. Which country will follow USA? You think this will be only in USA? There'll be a trade war, stupid. And who controls world trade? You? Malaysia? China? You must be joking. Think. Therefore, following the misinterpretation of the wall and the border adjustment tax, you have to ask yourself, which country will grow, which country will stagnate? And where will Malaysia be positioned in this spectrum of growth on one end, stagnation on the other? But what we're doing, we're indulging in syok sendiri, alright, talking cock and bull nonsense, indulging in hudud masturbation, okay, non-issue. Principal issue, the survival of our country, can't be bothered. Our country will be screwed up big time because we are not even prepared. The economic, financial, and geopolitical consequences, right, of one word. Build the wall. It doesn't mean just the physical wall to stop immigrants from coming from Mexico to America. It has a wider meaning. You stupid Wahhabis, be you a lawyer, engineer, doctors, your PhDs, your MSCs, please, don't posture that you know nothing. Okay, why do you think this tax was imposed? And they're preparing a tax in America. Because America wants to be number one again. It doesn't matter whether they like them or not. Okay, they are saying we will be number one again. To hell with you, other countries. It's like Zionists telling the Muslims in Middle East, screw you, Wahhabis. We are coming to your country, destroy your country, break you up, and we're going to screw you up. And the Arab Wahhabi says, no, it cannot be true. Cannot be true. We are more Muslims in numbers surrounding Israel. They cannot do that. The greater vision of greater Israel cannot be achieved. They already got 90% on target. Alright? And now you want to discount America? To hell with you whether you like America or dislike America, whether America is a criminal country or not. When it sneezes, we catch the flu and we are sleeping. Now, next thing is this. All governments, without exception, throughout the world, likes to print money. Paper money. Fiat currency, no exceptions. We have been printing all these years, right? That's why Najib is getting away. Domestically, we print money. Externally, we money laundering. And this is the present global financial system. Is this system cast in stone? What change do we expect? Because our currency fluctuates to the dollar. How long more will the petrodollar be a pillar in this dollar-based system? Because you need dollar to buy crude. Everyone has to buy crude in US dollar. And petrodollar is key. The Saudis, okay? Do you know that the price of oil will never go back to 100 US dollar per barrel? What would be the price range of expectation and its impact on global currencies? Are we, the debt slaves in Malaysia, in the loop of things? What will be the impact on our economy? Has all your MPs warned you what will happen to our country in the near future? Are we prepared? The safety net? But we beat the drum. Aramco Singapore is investing 7 billion with Petronas in some offshore project, forgetting the critical issues that I have brought to your attention. The fact that the Minister of Higher Education said that now students must have a gap year, 1 year, after A-levels, must have a gap year before they enter university. But why? Problems of financing university, which I warned in my previous address. Faculties will close down as much as 40%. Graduates will find employment. So, gap year. They will try to enroll themselves, get jobs, get experience. Hey, no qualification. 1 year. Should I employ you for 1 year? Then at the end of the year, you get out. I spend my resources training you. The culture in the Western countries is right. Gap year is like to have maturity before you jump into university. Do something productive, extracurricular activity, broaden your horizon, broaden your character, strengthen your resolve to exposure, interaction. It was not by compulsion. Not by compulsion. And I've met many students in England during the gap year. They did incredible things. People-oriented things. Charitable exercises. Going to other countries to explore. Here our minister says, right? Hey, gap year, you cari makan yourself lah. Be apprentice lah. You know? See, they don't even articulate this policy. It's a cultural shift in your thinking. Understand? Then even then, they can't do it. To them, it's a stopgap measure to prevent unemployment and to overcome the shortage of finance in our universities. In my previous address, I said, right, as much as 40% of faculty will be closed. Massive unemployment among the graduates. And this will be intensified, aggravated by all these issues which I've raised to you. Now, I will not give you all these answers. For one reason, I don't believe in spoon feeding anymore. In the past, I give you so many facts, spoon fed you. And yet I have people coming to my office, Matthias, the other day you say these things, right? Where did I get it? Where do I get it? I took the trouble to place those evidence in front of you so that you can photograph with the handphone, and yet these assholes have the audacity to ask me, where do I get this evidence? How do I download it? So I asked them, do you watch the video? Yeah. Their mind is somewhere else. So I said at the beginning of this address, if you think so easy, it's so easy to arrive at these basic concepts and issues without research, I challenge you. 50,000 ringgit. I dare you come to my office for 1 hour. I give you a blank piece of paper and a pen, and I'll give you an issue, all right, to deliberate. If they come up with a coherent, reasonable, understandable policy, I'll give you 50,000. If you can't, after 1 hour, and you doodle and write rubbish, you give me 50,000. I don't care whether you're a professor in a university, a doctor, a lawyer, engineer. I challenge you. Because thinking requires not only just research, but an analytical mind. That doesn't mean by the fact that you're intellectual. The word intellectual is a misnomer, understand? It only means that you have book knowledge in university. a genuine intellectual can survive in a desert and still think and be productive. Okay, that's what I mean. So, with all these issues, I want you now to go back home, analyze what you have photographed, think through what you really want, and then go to your MPs and adons, especially the leaders of the parties across the divide. I don't care. UMNO, MCA, Gerakan, MIC, Bersatu, PKR, Amanah, DAP. Otherwise, you're voting for what? A to B. What change are you talking about? Other than sound bites and promises. Okay. So, in conclusion, I just want to give to you a quotation from Mikhail Bakunin, a great thinker who exposed, which I bet you don't know, certain truth about communism and Karl Marx, okay, and the Jews. This is what he says. This ugly truth, right? When people are being beaten with a stick, they're not much happier if it's called the people's stick. You understand this? If you don't understand, photograph this, think about it. Because I'm going to explain to you this quotation. Okay? When people are beaten with a stick, they're not much happier if it's called the people's stick. What does it mean? Government of the people, you know. They also wield a stick. Next one. How states maintain power. Powerful states can maintain themselves only by crime. Little states are virtuous only by weakness. Profound words of wisdom. Do you understand what it means? Think about it. What are you expressing now? Therefore, when you talk about change, what change are you talking about? How are those changes be effected? If you, the rakyat, the voter, cannot even be bothered with a minimum effort, then let me say to you, as I said before, you deserve to be whacked. And whacked hard. Just as your numbskull who says that, you know, if your daughter is raped, the solution is right, rapist marry her. Nah. I wonder whether if his daughter is raped, a child is raped, he will allow the rapist to marry her. This very fact that a political leader can utter such nonsense and now say he has been misquoted. He means, it doesn't apply to violent rape, but consensual sex. If it's consensual, it is not rape, stupid. If it's consensual but the girl is under 30 years old, then it becomes a statutory rape. Because a child below 30 years old is not in law deemed to able to understand consent. She may be induced to have sexual intercourse with a bastard. That's why it's called statutory rape. And we talk about hudud. And he's a Muslim. A hypocrite. But, see, what was the reaction? And there is another line that's been promoted by Malays. It's shocking to me. Malays and Muslims. You know what they say? to counter, to justify Najib's rule as a prime minister. All prime ministers in Malaysia are crooks and have stolen money. Can you imagine that? And all the prime ministers from the first till now are all Malays, all Muslims. Can you see how insidious is Najib allowing this propaganda to be spread in the rural area? I'll talk more about this in Malaysian address. But for this moment, by authorizing it, by not dissenting or condemning it, he's saying his father is a crook. His father stole money. Hussein On, a lawyer, strict lawyer by profession, a good prime minister, clean, is also accused to be a crook. What's evidence? The only evidence of a crook, of a criminal, is the present prime minister, who's found guilty, whose one MDB pleaded guilty and paid a fine. Can you see this? When a son of a prime minister, who is himself a prime minister, when drowning in shame, in shit, allows the propaganda machinery of his party to go to the rural area, exploit the simplicity and ignorance of Malay Muslims and say, Allah, apa susah? Tidak kesalahan jenayah sebab tiap-tiap Perdana Menteri pun curi, pun ada corruption, simpan duit dalam poket. And funny enough, no one today in the opposition has highlighted this and say what kind of a son will say of his father that he's a crook. When earlier, you recall, when he was accused of taking monies, cheating, to afford to buy handbags for Rosmah and what have you, he said he inherited from his father. But all his brothers came out and said, no, our father was not rich. There was no legacy handed down. Correct me if I'm wrong, right? Did not Nazir and all the other brothers say so? And yet, this propaganda in the rural areas to say two things is insidious. So what? I'm a crook. All the other primes are crook. What for us? What for me? UMNO. My God, shame, 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 shame to UMNO. Shame, shame, shame to MC, Gerakan, MIC for allowing this propaganda to persist. My God, is that how you justify and rationalize a crime? To pour a propaganda that all prime ministers, including his father, is a crook. There's nothing left to say anymore. My people of Malaysia, do your duty. But once again, I have one principle which I hold dear. Regardless of any change in this country, you have a free choice. If you don't exercise that free choice, God's wrath will come down on you, your children, your grandchildren, because you did not do your duty. But if you surrender to the will of Allah, have absolute faith that He will protect us, defend us, and guide us under all circumstances, and if it's all challenges, we will prevail. You are what you are today because you have not surrendered your will to Allah. You lack the faith in Him. That's why you are in muddy waters, wallowing in shit and giving excuses. Time for excuses over. The country is in shit. The political leaders are clueless. Rise to the occasion. Have the balls and the guts. I'm not even asking you to do anything. just to talk to your MPs and your adults. Yes, it's a very harsh words. I do not apologize. With that, I conclude my address, and I hope you take to heart what I say today. Time is short. I wish you a good day, and I hope you adhere to what I say. Thank you.